Welcome, friends. I'm Jean Greene. Go grab your favorite cup of tea or coffee and settle in for Sips from the Sip, brought to you by the Utica Institute Museum. Here, stories steep slow and truth runs deep. We're serving up history, harmony, and a righteous dollop of sass as we explore the legacy of gospel music in the Black church tradition. Today's guest is a trailblazer whose voice has echoed through both sanctuary and scholarship, Dr. Deborah Mays-Jackson. A proud alumna of Utica Junior College, Dr. Mays-Jackson made history as the first Black woman to serve as vice president of Hinds Community College and the first woman to lead its Utica campus. But before the titles and the accolades, she was a founding member of the Daughters of Bobby, a gospel group born right here on campus, and a music major at Jackson State with a song in her soul. Join me as we talk legacy, leadership, and the healing power of harmony with a woman whose life has always had a soundtrack. Welcome to season 2 of our podcast, Sips from the Sip. And on our first program, I am so pleased to have joined me Dr. Deborah Mays-Jackson. Dr. Jackson's roots run so deep into the Utica campus. Her mother is a past graduate of Hinds AHS and Utica Junior College, as is her extended family. She has come to us from that family and has been instrumental in what she took from Utica and then what she brought back to it when she became the first female vice president of the Utica campus. She was also the first Black female vice president for Hinds Community College. I am so pleased to have her join me today. Thank you for coming
here.
Thank you. I want to talk to you about music, but I want you to just kind of bring us up to speed on how your history, how you got here.
Oh, first, let me say thank you for inviting me. I was excited when you invited me, and I'm glad to be here to talk about this very unique, wonderful place called Utica. I got here because my mom, like you said, there is a history of my family. My mom went to Hinds HS, and she graduated from there. She's salutatorian.
Oh, wow.
And then she came right on across the street to Utica Junior College at the time and graduated from here. So when I was growing up, that's all I heard. She went on to Jackson State as well, but all I heard was Hinds AHS and Utica Junior College. I went to Terry High School here in Hinds County as well. All through my high school career, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I do want to preface it by saying that most of us who are in rural schools sometimes don't have the opportunities that other schools have.
That's true.
We don't have the resources, and Terry High was one of those. I wasn't exposed to different colleges that I could go to. I wasn't exposed to different careers that were out there for me at the time. So by the time I graduated from high school, it was already understood that I was going to go to Utica Junior College because that's what I heard in my household. My mom's siblings came here and my mom went here, but I still wasn't exposed to any other school.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up majoring in accounting when I got here. It really, like I said, there was no other alternative for me. But again, at Terry, my classmates, some of them didn't go anywhere. Wow. Mainly because they didn't have households where anyone went to college, so they didn't have the exposure. But that was my only exposure. So I was excited to come to school, to be able to come and go to college. I was afraid. I'm an only child, so I was here alone. But it was a new experience. So when I got here, I did major in accounting, and that's because, again, my home experience. My mom was an accountant and still is. She did people taxes and just dealt with numbers. And I thought that was going to be my plight as well. Okay, I can do it. My mom did it. I quickly realized math was not my thing. I did okay in the high school with algebra, and again, that resources of being exposed. I didn't have calculus and trig and all that in high school. So when I got here, it was new to me. And it was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So one day here, I think it was probably around December of my first year, I was always hearing the choir, but I was never, I guess, never went over.
Okay.
So that is where the change of the major came. I was invited by another student to go to the music department because they knew I played for churches. They knew I sang.
Oh.
And so they was like, you need to go over to the music department and meet Dr. Cooper. And so that's how that started. I went from an invite and I got there and it was nothing but music coming out of that room. A small room full of students, Dr. Cooper in his office, music playing everywhere. And my eyes opened up and I was amazed. I had been only here, 5 or 6 months. And I was like, oh, wow, this was over here the whole time. So it was that experience. And then I was introduced to Dr. Cooper, and Dr. Cooper was told that I played and that I could read music, which was unique. And so I think he probably thought, she probably can't. And so he said he opened up a hymn book on his piano in his office and said, can you play this? And I looked at it and it was the first hymn, Holy. And I said, yes, sir. And I sat down and it wasn't 100% because I hadn't read music for a while. But I played it. And he was like, oh, yeah. You might need to come over here. You might need to think about this. That's the start. But I don't know how much of that you want me to tell.
I want to hear that because we're talking about music in this season. So getting that information about how that music comes through this campus and how you were encouraged to become a part of that department and the opportunities you were availed of because you did. That's definitely something that we want to have.
Absolutely. In December, a few days later, I made the decision without even having a discussion with my mother that I was changing my major from accounting to music. Just through the conversations with Dr. Cooper, being in the environment that he had over in that room, it was just free to me. It was a nurturing feeling to me. So I changed my major. In January, when we came back to school, I told my mom. And I think what the good transition for that is that I still had to take the same general classes that I was taking. I was not anticipating taking the trig and the calculus and all the other classes for accounting, but I hadn't even gotten there yet. But I was getting depressed about it before I even could get to it. But I was amazed and I was very happy that my mom was very supportive.
That's good.
She said, okay, that you're going to do something. So do what you feel you're comfortable with, but you're going to finish. So that made me feel better about it. And that's when it started. Dr. Cooper just took me under his wing and told me that I would be a piano major. Now, mind you, I had never done classical music. I played hymns out of the hymn book. I could read music and I played gospel for churches. So that was my history. Classical music is something that I had no familiarity with. But he opened that door for me and he started teaching me piano pieces to be a piano major. So I was a piano major, voice minor.
Okay.
But he opened so many other doors. He was, of course, very intricate in opening my eyes to musicals and those type, because we did Opera South.
Oh, talk about that.
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that connection.
That first year with him, Opera South was still very alive. And it was a collaboration with Alcorn, the Utica campus here, Tougaloo, and Jackson State created this. And the one musical that I was in was Hansel and Gretel. And I still talk about that today. That experience I had never been exposed to anything like that. So that production itself was just phenomenal to me. And it was just being in a position to be exposed to that as a musician was just phenomenal. I felt like I was in Hollywood somewhere. It was just wonderful. But Dr. Cooper ensured that those of us in the choir at the time, we had the experience of being the chorus for the musical. And we were there to see some of the most wonderful voices in the world there, and the teachers that came together from all of the campuses to put this on, and the production. It was just huge. And I just remember saying, oh my God, I want to do this. I really want to do this. So he exposed that to us. He gave me an opportunity to direct the choir. And he really was nurturing when it came to music theory. I had no idea. I knew theory, but I didn't know it in that term.
Right.
To teach the theory to me. And I literally, when I was struggling with mathematics, I was making all A's in theory because it was something I loved and I enjoyed. And he made it so enjoyable.
Right.
And he encouraged us so much. Those of us who were music majors, class was at 8 a.m. and we weren't ever late.
Wow.
Ever late. All 4 semesters that I had to take theory, 1 through 4, we'd learn to write music, write our own pieces and present them and perform them. It was just so many things that I was not exposed to prior to coming to Utica campus, but he did. And he really expound my love and my knowledge about something that I just did, not knowing how much I loved it.
Right.
He gave me an attitude of, this is who I am. With that, you always have to have someone not only encouraging you in it, but someone that's going to drive you and push you in it. And I give that to him as well. We toured once a year.
Was this the choir or was the groups?
This was the choir,
Okay.
the choir. Now, we did have the groups as well, and we were the first Daughters of Bobby.
You're that first group.
I'm in the first group. We created the Daughters of Bobby. I don't know how many more he had after we graduated.
Yeah.
But we were the first, and we did. I remember going to Raymond campus to some performances there, talent shows, Turn It Out. It was just wonderful. And having that vocal experience with him and him training you properly. Because, mind you, we were born in churches and we were performing in churches and you just bellowed. You just sang and you try to get the emotion from people from how you sang. Right. But being able to be in a position to be taught properly. And that was my first experience of that. Even though I was in high school, I did not have a music class in high school.
So he's teaching you performance and how to carry
posture,
wow,
dialect, breathing, embouchure, everything. He's teaching that to me as a college student. And I'm just bringing in, receiving everything. And I'm receiving it because I love it so much. And I'm going, okay, this is what the stars do. This is what real performers do. And I was not aware of that. But he exposed that to us lovingly. He exposed it to us. He was someone that you respected, that you did not want to disappoint ever. And he was that father figure. He was going to tell you the truth. He was going to put you on the spot. He was going to do the things he needed to do to strengthen you and strengthen your skill set and your mindset. Even the things that I did administratively in my career, I still fall back on some of the teachings that he and my mother gave me to be a good person, but be strong and be confident. And I learned confidence in that setting with Dr. Cooper because I was the only child. I was very quiet in high school. I was not trying to be seen.
Oh, okay.
So when I got here, I blossomed pretty much. I became who I think God had planned for me to be musically. I learned how to be more confident about my abilities and understand that your abilities are not the same as everybody else's. I wasn't meant to be Whitney Houston.
Right.
I may have been meant to be Whitney Houston background singer. Yeah. But not Whitney. You learn well enough to do as well as you can. But I wasn't even doing that before being introduced to him.
Is it something about Dr. Cooper individually and Utica as a place that encourages that blossoming, do you think?
I think so. I think this place first, when I was a student here, this place was someplace where people cared about not only each other, but the students, that we were not allowed to fail. Okay, so if you missed the class, you were going to be called out, or your parents. Somebody. It was back in the day where, you could tell a parent about what was going on with their child. So
that is a while back then.
It was a while back. Yeah. It was a while back because I know several of my instructors who knew my mother as a student here was still here when I became a student. And I knew they knew my mother. So there are things that when they would see her here for a program or something, they would say small things because I was too scared to do anything bad. But I knew that if I had done something, that they would tell. And with Dr. Cooper, he was such an intricate part of my everyday here. every day. That he and my mom had a good relationship where she needed to know something, she knew she could pick up the phone and call Dr. Cooper. Or if she knew that I needed to be directed or told anything, he had the authority to do that and would do it. So you, as a student, if you had any innate ability, it was nurtured here from the whole campus. Because Dr. Cooper is definitely someone that I know that I can always say helped me to blossom to be what I need to be. But there were several other people on this campus that outside of music. I remember going on tours, and Miss Marilyn Binion Davis was a chaperone, and she would tell us all the time how we need to look, how, especially girls, how we need to look, how we need to dress. Don't talk this way. Don't do this. I remember that. So she became a very close friend throughout my life as well. Then you had Mr. Bell, you had Coach Orange, you had Miss Turner in the registrar's office. You had people here when I was a student that ended up still being, some of them still here when I came back to be vice president. Yeah. And I still went back to my childhood with that fear, because you have that respect for these people. Yes. So I knew that there were certain things that I, as a student, could not get away with, wouldn't even try to get away with, but there was a nurturing climate here on this campus.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was a nurturing climate for the students. There was a mentoring climate for the staff and instructors. And when these folks, because the time I got here, some of these folks are still here, and they really would pick you up where you were and work with you and encourage you to be proud not only of yourself. And you were describing the poise that Ms. Binion and others would try to instill in us. Right. This is how you carry yourself. Right. Because you at Utica.
That's right. Exactly. That was the term. This is how we do it here at Utica. And not only when you left the Utica campus, they wanted you to represent the campus, but they wanted, when you say, I went to Utica, people to say, oh, I know your quality. Right. I know what you're about, because I know that they have standards on that campus. Right. I recall that on tour once, that someone, I don't remember what church, but I think it was in Chicago, that when they said, someone got up and spoke, and they said, when the choir comes from Utica, you get ready, because there's a poise and a standard and almost a bouginess that comes along with it. And that made us feel great, because remember now, we had kids from everywhere on this campus, not just from Mississippi or from the Utica area, Terry or Bolton or Edwards. Right. We had students here from Chicago, from California, from New York, who came and migrated here because of family ties. And then when they get here, they're taught that level of high standards. And, and if they could not hang, they left, because they were not lowering the standards because the student came here from somewhere else. Right. The standards maintained.
That is so true. That is so true. And the way, and because we're talking music, so I'm going to consistently talk about Dr. Cooper. The way I've talked to some former Jubilee, and they tell Dr. Cooper said, you're going to be here on time or we leaving. And if you were not on time,
the bus would leave without you.
You had to get to the next venue the best way you knew it.
That's right. That taught us, though, and those are life lessons, because those are the things that we try to instill in the students now. Right. That time is important, and you shouldn't waste other people's time. Right. Yes, Dr. Cooper was a timely person, and I think I've always been that, but I respect that, because that's who I am. Right. If I am scheduled to be somewhere at 12 o'clock, I'm going to be there about a quarter to 12. Because if you're there at 12, you're late. Because that's what he would say. You get there before to get yourself together. And that's a performance thing. Yes. That's a music performance thing that he taught us as well. You don't get to a venue to perform at the exact time. Right. You need to get there before, get a feel for the environment, get a feel for the building, see what you have for resources. Are the mics working? Right. Are the musicians there? All those types of things he taught us musically that you need to have. Now, I was a pianist. So I already understood getting a feel for the instrument that you're going, because every piano is different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So some are tuned, some are not. Some are high pitched, some are low pitched.
And
so
how they sound in the venue.
The echo. That's right. So all of that has to be taken under consideration when you're performing. So vocally, it's the same thing. But those are the things that he taught us as well. Through the day-to-day matriculation of his teaching, some of the things we didn't realize we were being taught. But when you leave and you still encounter those things and expect those things, okay, yeah, I was taught that. Yeah, I was taught that. So
that's very good. I also thank you for sharing that. But when you leave Utica, you're not abandoned by Utica.
Absolutely not.
Because there you are at Jackson State. But who comes to back you up?
Oh, gosh, Dr. Cooper. Look, I can recall my getting ready to graduate from here. And Dr. Cooper is very well known in taking us to auditions to colleges. He will go out of state and take his students to an audition. Now, I'm going to tell you, most professors at colleges and universities, they'll schedule them, but they don't show up for them. They'll help you get the audition with the upcoming college or university, but they don't go. I watched Dr. Cooper before it was time for me to graduate. I watched him take students to Alcorn for auditions, for scholarships, Jackson State, even places out of state. And the students will come back and talk about their experience. So that was helping us get prepared. And so we all had to do that. But I remember when I was getting ready for my audition at Jackson State, I had learned this piano piece. And so we were working, and he knew how nervous I was. Because, again, for me, Jackson State was huge.
Right.
This is huge. This is major. And I may not get the scholarship. So Dr. Cooper not only arranged the audition, Dr. Cooper was at my audition.
Yes.
I met him at Jackson State Music Department, and I'll never forget, I was shaking. And we were outside in the hall he was already there when I got there. And when I walked through the door, I was shaking, and he grabbed my arms and he said, "Calm down." And I just looked at him. He said, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's okay. You're going to be fine." So we sat on this bench right in the foyer of the music department for about 5 or 10 minutes. He had already been to the upstairs with the piano teachers, had talked to them, met me down. He had done all this legwork before I even got there to make me feel comfortable. He walked me up, and Dr. Jackson and Dr. Lobinger were the two piano teachers. And he sat in the corner while I played my piece to give me peace. I played the piece nervous, and he knew it. And when I finished, he said it to them. He said, "She's nervous." He says, "But she's a great student, and she will learn what you give her." I'll never forget those encouraging words. And they offered me a scholarship that day. And I can't even tell you how a student that didn't have what I had with Dr. Cooper to be there, if they were going to do an audition and they were in my position, how would they have gotten through it? Because his presence made me feel better. I was still nervous, of course, but I felt better because I had some familiar faces, a familiar face there. But he's there. Every recital I had at Jackson State, piano recital, Dr. Cooper was there. Every performance, I think, except for maybe one or two in the choir, and I'm just a choir member.
And you're not a soloist.
I wasn't the soloist. He was there. So it was never a break in the support, the love, the commitment to me, the drive and encouraging me to keep going. You're going to be fine. My first piano recital at Jackson State, one piece, I lost my memory. I was just sitting there hitting one note because it just left me. Auditorium full of people. My students was there. My teachers was there. All the teachers from the music department was there. Dr. Cooper, he brought students because that's what he brings students from here. My parents, my family, filled with people, and I'm just hitting that one note because I went blank. I went blank, and it came back eventually, and I finished it. And then that was a break after, and I walked out the side door of that auditorium, and I remember Dr. Lobinger, she was my teacher there, my piano teacher there. And she met me at the door, and she hugged me, and she said, it happens to everyone. Let it go. You got another segment to go. I had 3 more pieces to play.
Wow.
And she said, let it go. It happens to all of us. It's okay. You did fine. It wasn't 30 seconds. Dr. Cooper was coming down them stairs on that side behind the stage. And I'm crying by now.
Right.
I'm crying. And he came out, told me the same thing she said. It happens to everyone. You're doing fine. You're going to be okay. I was just embarrassed, just totally embarrassed. But not only was he was there for me in my most downtrodden moment. He was there. And I will never forget that. But he came behind that stage and he made me feel better. He and Dr. Lobinger teamed up. And I was bawling by then because I was like, I can't believe I just messed up like that. They both made me understand that both had gone through this before. Every performer has a moment. And that was my very first recital. And I think I played 8 pieces that day. So,
but you just blanked on the one.
I blanked on the one. In one segment of it. And I picked up where I figured I knew it and went on and finished it. But I was just embarrassed. But I can remember those are the type of moments Dr. Cooper he's still in my life right now. I still talk to Dr. Cooper.
Right.
I still check on him. And because he's one of those kinds of people that you just cannot let go. He's just that burst of inspiration. And he exudes love and support.
Thank you for sharing that, because Dr. Cooper is an example of what makes this place special. He is unique, and he does support his students. And as unique as you are as his piano playing protege, I've heard this story, similar stories
from others. Yes.
So his influence and his touch transcends. And it's always personal. It's personal. It's not a generic,
right,
I'm going to do this. This is my music student. No, this is Debra.
He gives us what we individually need. Yeah. Every one of us. And I saw it as a student, for students that went on. And it makes you want to come, when he was here, it made you want to come back and talk to the other students.
Right.
Because he had students before me that would come and perform and talk to us, to encourage us. And now we saw what they were telling us in him.
Right.
And so when we went off, and we wanted to come back and do the same thing for the students behind us.
So it creates this cycle.
It creates the cycle. And it was a cycle of building of not only the family, but I don't know what you call it, a community.
Yes.
It's a community of musicians that he creates here. Because a lot of the students probably came from similar backgrounds of me, of not being properly trained or formally trained, I should say, in proper etiquette for music.
Right.
So that was the beginning for me. And he was just wonderful in that, just being not only a good teacher, but he is a good person. He's a good person that cares about his students. And that is, people are getting away from that.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Initially, when I was thinking about you coming and sharing not only the story of your experience at Utica, but the story of your experience with music here and at Jackson State and in your life as it has continued to be important. I was thinking of how music is so ingrained in the history of this place, from initially Holtzclaw creating the Jubilee Singers,
right,
and how that music has permeated this institution and this community. So I wanted to touch base with you about what, and I guess this goes back to when you said you were playing music in church. That's important in this, in our Black community, but it's also important in the Utica community. So I just want you to talk about what gospel music, what you feel gospel music is in Mississippi, in this area.
Yes, raised in the church. And that's all I played with when I was from 4 years old on was gospel. And I think for me, gospel is an extension of our Christian conversation. I think it's a way that we as Black folk or our culture has used this to tell good news, to talk about God and our experiences with God, and just have this language. I consider it, gospel music being a language that we utilize to exude happiness and art, to tell a story about what we've gone through. Because if you notice, most gospel music is a story. Yeah. And all of us sometimes have similar stories. And when we hear certain songs and that's telling a story, you notice how we all connect to that because it's so familiar to us. Yeah. So I think gospel music that's that connectivity of us as Black folk.
Yeah. We're not alone in this experience.
Exactly. We are all connected into this, and this is our language to have our conversation about it as we go from church to church, doing different things, even if it's a spiritual, because I feel like gospel music kind of came from the slavery spirituals. It just kind of expounded into something different. It's still telling the story. It's our language. The slavery time, people use music to not only tell stories or to get through the fields as they were working, but it also music that those spirituals had messages in them. Yes. So we all have always used music and gospel or spirituals or something from the beginning of time to connect and communicate.
That's right. And I always go back to Holtzclaw. When Holtzclaw started, he found that when he was going to do fundraising in the North and the East, that the whites up there loved to hear what they call plantation songs, the spirituals.
Spirituals, right.
So he was able to share that music, which told the language of our people, but also gave these folks a reason, a softened reason to support his work.
That's right.
Support his work. Yes, it's our language, and it continues to speak to us today.
Right.
But it has also been used to encourage support from those outside of our community.
Absolutely.
It has helped us I was listening to something about the transition of a particular song through the civil rights movement and how it gave messages out during that time as well. So we've talked a little bit about the purpose of the music. Has the purpose of gospel music changed?
I don't think so. I think the purpose is the same. I think the times have changed.
Okay.
As we talked about the spirituals, and then it goes to gospel, and then you have contemporary gospel. And I think with the age and the times of changing, that the type of gospel music changes. I think the core of what gospel does is the same. Okay. I think it still tells a message. I still think it is a connectivity of our people. Again, now it's widespread and everyone sings gospel. Everyone sings spirituals too, though.
Right.
But we also know where it generated from, where it originated from. So again, I think the gospel music is changing because of the times we're in. We have technology now. You have all these different things that people's mindsets are different. But the messages, if you listen to some of the music, is some of the same message that is very important to Black folk. And it just depends on what your preference is, how you want to hear that message.
That's interesting, because that one thing I wanted to touch on was how gospel music has transitioned through genres. And the way I like to listen to my gospel music is a cappella. It's something about hearing that unaccompanied human voice that really can touch the spirit. But then there are times when I want to hear some accompaniment. Am I listening to it for a spiritual purpose, or am I listening to it for an entertainment purpose? Is it different, or am I able to get entertainment and spiritual food at the same time?
I think you can.
Okay.
I think you can. I think, first and foremost, all music is entertainment. But we as people found a way to entertain people through a message, with a message. So I think what you're saying is very real. Again, that's why there are different genres of how that message is given, because everyone has a preference.
Right.
Okay. So you might hear Jesus Keep Me Near the Cross straight out of the hymn and just be pleased with it. But someone else might need to hear the Mississippi Mass version of Jesus Hear Me. But it's the same message. It's the same words. So it depends on how you want to receive it, how you want to hear it. I can relate to what you just said because I like acoustic piano. I'm not a big keyboard girl. I like the acoustic because I trained on that. That's what I played. That's what I began. I like it in music with other instruments. But I love to hear the acoustic piano. And I think my preference is acoustic instruments, period.
Not the electrical enhancement.
I like it. In some instances, and depending on what it is, what's being played, I do like it. But I prefer acoustic. So I think as I hear Jesus Keep Me to the Cross and I hear it a cappella, I can respect that. I love that. And I can hear the natural voice and I can hear the natural skill set. But there's a time that I want to hear the Mississippi Mass version. I want to hear Frank Williams. Right. And it gives me the same feeling. So you can get it from both. And I think it depends on who we are and what our preference is. But the message for me is the same.
Excellent. I've got one final question. And to wrap up our discussion, which I have thoroughly enjoyed, I want you to know.
Well,
thinking about gospel music, how it pulls from our past, how do you see it informing our future?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm a firm believer of knowing your past so you can have a more in-depth future, that you can have a more informed future, I should say, in reference to that. Don't know, because as you see, it changes so much now. I don't know what it will end up being or what level of performance will come out. But I honestly believe in my heart's a heart that we will always have the core. I think we will always have the originated spirituals. We will always have the gospel music, that we'll always have hymns. I think we'll always have the core of it. Someone's going to always, because creativity is what, it's just going to be there. We all have creativity of some level. And someone's always going to take those and make something different out of it.
Gotcha.
And so when you do that, it's going to influence the future. It's going to influence where we are, what the times are in them times. So when we have spaceships everywhere, so of course we know it's going to change. Music will change with that, because you're going to have a whole different mindset, a whole different environment. But I honestly believe somebody's going to go back and pull those spirituals out of the field.
Yes.
And that's going to be still heard.
Yes.
And hopefully it will still influence how we move, how we live, how we treat people in the future.
Yes. Thank you so much. Dr. Deborah Mays-Jackson, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the time and the expertise that you've given to this. And I want to extend an open invitation for you to come back sometime to our podcast, whether we're talking about music or we're talking about education.
I would love that. I love sitting and talking with you. I do. And
you're
doing a great job with this museum and all of the history here on this campus.
Oh, thank you.
I want to extend my appreciation to you for continuing the talks and continuing the legacy on this campus to make sure it's not forgotten.
Thank you so much.
I truly appreciate you for that. So I'm always open to you. If you need me to come back, I'll be right back.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Deborah Mays-Jackson. Proof that when music meets purpose, the impact echoes for generations. Her story reminds us that gospel isn't just performance, it's testimony. It's how we make sense of the struggle and celebrate the triumph. Joining me for Sips from the Sip. This program is supported by donations from our listeners. If you enjoyed today's program, consider making a donation or becoming a patron. To support Sips from the Sip and all the work we're doing at the Utica Institute Museum, visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Utica Institute. Until next time, this has been Jean Greene from Utica in the heart of the Sip, where the spirit speaks and the stories sing. Stay rooted, stay lifted, and keep listening for the music between the lines.